The U.S. has announced a record arms sale package to Taiwan valued at about $11 billion. Joining us to discuss is Rod Martin, geopolitical analyst and founder and CEO of Martin Capital. So, good afternoon to you, Rod. Can we get your analysis here on the significance of this? Because if approved by Congress, it will be the largest weapons package ever offered to Taiwan.
It is, and it needs to be more. But I'm very pleased with what the administration has done here. You'll notice that this is defensive in character. It really shouldn't perturb the Communist Party. It really shouldn't if they're decent people and playing according to the rules that we all have to live by. But no, they want to invade Taiwan. So what Trump is doing is he's handing Taiwan another really crucial means to defend itself. This is about half HIMARS. This is about half howitzers. The former give you the ability to blow up ships in the water in the Formosa Strait that could be carrying troops over to the land. The howitzers give you the ability for close-in support and the ability to hit them as they're coming right to the beaches. It's a really important package. It makes a big difference. It's not the only thing that we're doing, but it's a big step in the direction of containing China and keeping it in its own pen away from our allies and friends.
Okay, it seems like you're saying this is a good move. So what message do you think this $11 billion package is sending to China? Because from what we've seen, China was angered by this. So what is the message, if any?
Well, they're always angered by anything that impinges on their ability to project their own power. And that shouldn't surprise us in the least. This is a great thing. It's one of many things that needs to happen, but you see it as part of a coherent Trump administration strategy to contain China, and it makes a lot more sense. You see that certainly with the nuclear submarine deal with South Korea that is going to tremendously increase American shipbuilding capacity, primarily in the Philadelphia shipyard. That will increase American capability to produce nuclear submarines by about 50%. You see this in the new posture in Japan, where they've just said absolutely clearly, if China attacks Taiwan, China will face our reprisals as well. So what we're building here is a containment structure, not unlike that which we had in the Cold War, which managed to keep the peace for 45 years. And ultimately, the belief is, and I think it's correct, that the internal inconsistencies of the communist system will implode upon themselves in due course if we can just keep them out of a war.
So, Rod, I'm very curious as to, from your perspective, what is at stake here against the backdrop of China potentially invading Taiwan?
That is the biggest single thing. I mean, an attack on Taiwan would be horrifying for the entire world, and it would absolutely lead to a global conflict. There's no getting around this, because for the United States to effectively defend its de facto ally in Taipei is going to involve blockading China's coast, not necessarily up close, but certainly at the Straits of Malacca and Sunda and in the Persian Gulf and elsewhere. China is heavily dependent on energy imports. It's dependent on food imports. These are things that the U.S. Navy can just shut off. That won't happen without a cost. So in all of these cases, can we beat China? Yeah, I think we can. Do we want to have to try? No, we absolutely don't. And if we make Taiwan harder to attack, we avoid a war.
Okay, so I guess this goes in contradiction to what the Chinese Foreign Ministry is saying, because I'll read you a statement here. It said, quote, "This cannot save the doomed fate of Taiwan independence, but will only accelerate military confrontation and war." But what you're saying is this actually reduces the chance of war because it helps Taiwan to defend itself.
China is acting like a bully on the playground here. If you mess with me, there will be horrible consequences. That's just nonsense. If Taiwan is better able to defend its coast from an invading army, it makes it harder for China to attack. What is China going to do? Are they going to nuke Taipei? Are they going to just blow up Taiwan Semiconductor? None of that serves their purpose. They need to capture Taiwan intact. They need to be able to break out of that first island chain. They need to be able to build submarine bases on the Pacific facing coast. And none of that is made easier by what Donald Trump just did. So they are blustering. They are trying to threaten. They are trying to intimidate. They've got the wrong president for that. This is not Joe Biden. We're going to defend our friends in Taiwan.
Okay, Rod, just one last thing. You said earlier that the United States does not want this war, right? Is an invasion of Taiwan even in the cards, though, for China, given its current economic situation?
I'm reasonably skeptical, honestly. I know China wishes to. I know the CCP has talked about it a lot. It's interesting that they haven't tried it. And not just haven't tried it in the last year or the last decade, haven't tried it in all of the time since the Red government took over and created the People's Republic. So we're talking about an extremely long period of time that they have not attempted this, and there's a very good reason, called the Seventh Fleet. The United States Navy is in the way. They don't want to challenge it. If they did challenge it, yeah, there's a war game recently that suggests America might lose 4 aircraft carriers. I don't necessarily believe that, but I can tell you this, if we lose 4, we've still got a bunch more. They don't have 4 to lose. So this is just a bad calculus. They need to be able to work out a trade deal with the United States that supports an export-driven economy. That is how they have built their future. They don't have the ability to continue moving more consumption into the mix because the population is on the brink of implosion. The demography is just horrible for mainland China. So every day that Donald Trump makes it harder for the Chinese to act on these aggressive threats is a day that their opportunity slips away. And I agree with what you were saying just a moment ago. I think the odds of that threat are actually pretty low anyway.
Well, all right, Rod, terrific insight from you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.